This is Debbie, and you are listening to Light Up Your Worth. I'm excited you're here with this week's guest, Megan Marie. Megan is a resilient warrior who went from victim to survivor to warrior, overcoming so many challenges since childhood. To have the peace, love, harmony, and balance that she always felt she deserved in her life because she was worth it. She has over 30 certificates related to mental health, spirituality, and is a certified counselor, mental health, and energy coach. With the wisdom and knowledge she has learned through her own life experiences, she coaches those who have endured a similar path as her to finally have the inner and external peace her clients have always desired but didn't know how to create, as well as rebuilding the foundation of a self-relationship, which helps attract healthy relationships with partners and friends. Megan Marie's mission is to help people see and become the potential that has always been within them, but they were afraid to tap into. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I'm excited to dig into this journey. What was the big message you received that you needed to help others find inner and outer peace?
Spirit had been screaming at me for years. This has always been like I've always known deep down, but I never wanted to acknowledge my own. I just wanted to escape it. I finally got away from it. I tried to help people when I first started college. I was a social work major. I got into my internship. I wasn't ready to heal myself. So it hit me smack in the face of how can I help other people if I haven't healed myself? And so I dropped out because I wasn't ready to confront what I needed to, and went through life and then had other things happen. Got into to a narcissist. And when that all, I started realizing I recreated my whole childhood, except the physical abuse. And seeing that in my children's eyes was really, that was my wake up call. I've got to do something. But what was it that I needed? I was actually dying at that time. I had an unexplained illness. The doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with me.
Mm.
And doctors telling me to get my will in order. I had two young children at that time. And so it was really a wake up call, and me really pleading to God of being like, this is not my story. This is not how I'm out. Like, I am meant for so much more. Restore me. And in that process, what we forget is that for God to be able to restore you, he's got to tear away everything. And I had a massive tower moment, like a tornado just came in and ripped my whole entire life apart. And it left me on my knees grappling. I could have sat in a cave and let it destroy me more. I knew that wasn't my life. I already knew deep down in my intuition I deserve so much more. But how? So I got back into psychology. The reality is, when it comes to psychology, I don't believe in the Western modern day psychology. I argued and I fought with my professors because I didn't feel that helping. I was already a part of that system. I got nowhere with it. Begging, how does this help anyone? I started learning specific modalities to things that I now acknowledge in my life, acknowledge areas where it was like I knew I deserve better from this. That's how I got led forward to where I am now.
When you started looking for different healing modalities and blended it with Western psychology, what were you drawn to?
Someone made a comment about sound therapy. I was like, what can it hurt? When you're in toxic relationships, it doesn't just
Mhm.
affect one person, it affects everyone. And like, none of us slept, none of us we're all angry all the time, really. I started making us all listen to positive miracle growing DNA repair healing while we slept.
Mhm.
And within the week, I actually started to notice a difference in us. I started that we were sleeping. I started to notice that, like, we were happier. We weren't arguing much. We weren't fighting as much. I was like the eye opener. Sound therapy was my first
Well,
because I saw the difference.
the sound therapy, as you guys are listening to it at night, is tapping into our theta brain,
Yeah.
into our subconscious to be able to heal and change behavior patterns.
And that really did. It kick started. It really helped me open up to what I actually needed to be changing.
Mhm.
Because I was really, at that time, I was really grappling with the fact of what is it? I knew I had like physical abuse. That was the big thing that I was running away from. The psychological abuse
Mhm.
really completely obvious to me that I had. It was normal to me. I grew up with sick parents who did the whole gaslighting manipulation. I grew up with physical, mental, verbal, sexual, and financial abuse. That was very eye opening because at the same time, I was separating from my ex husband at that time. I started to notice things with my own family, started to notice the abuse. I started to know the psychological abuse. I started to see those patterns because my parents were acting as if they wanted to help me through my divorce. And so they were around me because I'd been from them many years. I only got together with them maybe once a year. That psychological abuse was normal with my ex because he replaced
Mm.
them. Now he's gone. I'm feeling great. They're coming back and like, wait, there's more to this. And I probably wouldn't have seen that with sound therapy, really getting my brain going and allowing me to see other things, becoming aware to how much I was actually being abused, how much I was allowing this to be my normal.
That's a really powerful awareness. It helps listeners identify why something feels comfortable and why
Yeah.
change takes us out of being comfortable. Why it's more challenging to change is because it's something completely new.
Yeah.
It's not familiar to us.
The thing that made it easier for me was when I separated from my ex husband. I was happy. I was happy for the first time. Like I was actually smiling. And then my parents coming back into the scene, it was like all of a sudden it was really like, oh God, I'm just on edge. I needed to have that little time separation to realize how much abuse was going on. Because if I didn't have that separation from them, I probably would still be connected with my parents and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. I'd still be completely in it because it was my normal. But my spirit was like, no, you deserve more. This is not how your life is supposed to be. And so that tornado came in, ripping everything away, and it started to show me that I was worthy. That internal battle of feeling it, I was starting to believe it and I wanted it.
When you knew that you deserved more, that you were worthy, but then you felt you were worthy. How was that different for you?
It never matched before. I thought I was a great person. You think you deserve more, but was it necessarily that bad? And to me, in my mindset, it was the physical abuse. I was a punching bag as a child. I was a punching, and I had gotten away from that. I was no longer a punching bag. But then realizing that, okay, I replaced that to be a verbal punching bag. But punching bag. And then when that was taken away, it was like, why am I allowing myself to be that punching bag? I taking on that? I don't treat other people like that. I don't do that. So why am I allowing other people to teach me and to do that? And it's because I was trained as a kid. Now you're not going to talk to me that way. Now you're going to because I am an adult. I don't care that I'm your child. I'm still an adult. I'm a mother, and you're not going to talk to me like this in front of my children. You're not going to set that example. My parents are talking to me like this in front of my children. It became very eye opening. I'm teaching my children this as
Mm.
normal behavior just because this is their grandparents. No. What are my children benefiting from? How did I benefit as a child from their behavior? I didn't. I'm in these situations because of how they raised. I'm in these because I have no self confidence, no self esteem, no value or worth me. Why was I allowing that? Deep down, my faith and belief always knew it was going to get better. But how I had to switch to the mind of how sound therapy really kicked that. I started learning about PTSD, the mental health. Then I realized I don't dream. I have no
Mm.
vision. I'm in survival mode every day just to get by. What are my dreams? Where do I see myself in a year, in 5 years? I had none of that. How could I? I was just to survive every single day. And I realized that I even stopped dreaming. Now all of a sudden I'm dreaming at night.
It's an important thing to notice for people listening is When you're in survival mode, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're in that basic foundational piece. If you're not dreaming,
Where are you going?
you might be in survival mode. Where are you going?
Yeah. And you are. And that's
Mhm,
something, that I've completely learned with clients that I've worked with. That is a common denominator with everyone. They don't
mhm,
they have no vision because they can't. They're focused on their problems are so overwhelming that you can't even look past them.
mm,
It is literally it's day by day. A lot of people that's because I struggled with resignating as a victim. That was a
mhm,
very hard for me to do because I didn't feel like a victim. I still felt empowered, but the reality was in a victim mindset. I just had to acknowledge it so that I could heal. I
mhm.
wanted to ignore it, just go away, but away.
That's a victim mindset. I can remember being in that mindset. Probably wasn't until my mid-30s that I realized I was in this victim mindset, which I now like to group into the scarcity mindset. I think it's their cousins. We're in this scarcity. We're not able to dream. We're in this total survival mode, and we're not able to step outside of what is the possibilities. So how can the universe bring you anything other than what you're experiencing? You
You're
you
exactly
can't
right.
you can't see anything. You don't even know what's
I
there to see.
I call it the boomerang effect.
Mm,
When people get into energy, it's that constant feeling it's scary, lacking because you can't dream. You can't even begin to fathom having a different life, the fact that you're in it. So what do you think you're going to get more of? That's what's coming back.
mm.
So you stop. But how do we stop? That was the struggle.
It can be a struggle. I believe we talked about the natural law of polarity. I'd love for you to explain to the listeners what that law is from your perspective, how you bring it into your world and your work.
It is the law of opposites. People always say opposites attract. Hey, bullcrap. Stop accepting that because the law of polarity is the opposite within ourselves. When we say opposites attract, you're still looking for external value. You're looking for that of that, okay, if I get someone different than me, then my life will be complete. No, we have to turn everything back. And so learning and understanding polarity is being that if there is a version of you that you feel broken, if you feel damaged, if you feel poor, if you feel any type of the lacking of self-confidence version of you that has it all, you just have to be willing to tap that energy and get into the mindset of I am capable. I am empowered. I'm resilient. That's a choice that you, but we use that. So many people, I think, use law of polarity as an external. And we need to stop focusing on that external and turn that inside. How is it that you get to get into that opposite? I use NLP to
Mhm.
really do the law of as you're working with me, and I work with the chakras. And so we go through the energies of your limiting belief. As that is coming up for you, what would be the opposite? If you're feeling this way, let's create that image, that vision of to now we can now be looking past and beyond that limitations that we've put on and that we're struggling to get over, that victim mindset. Let's flip it. How are we see that? How would that work out to our highest good? And stop putting limitations on you. Dream big. What would, if you're in one situation, what would most perfect outcome be for you to be happy? Until you switch that flip of the law of polarity, you're going to continue to stay stuck where you are. You've got to flip it, and it's like the ugly stick. There's always two sides of a stick. Which one are you? Or are you teeter tottering? Look in
Mm.
when situations. I always tell people because some people are like, "Oh, I don't have a negative mindset." Do you? Let's situation and put ourselves in the middle. Let's say this outcome could come and that outcome can come. Where mine go first? Most people, because we're programmed by society, why? We have to work on that subconscious mind, putting it to positive, and that is the law of polarity.
I love that explanation. When you think of a situation, which is the first one that pops into your mind? Is it that things will work out or that things will not?
Yeah.
I've seen this a
And
lot. I see the law of polarity with people I work with around their abundance mindset.
yeah.
So if they, I do an exercise that has to do with envision, like if you're setting your vision and you want to call in a certain amount of money, maybe you're going to shoot for, just for math's sakes, we're going to shoot for $100,000 a year. If I double it, now we're going to go for $200,000 a year. Okay, what if we 10 times that? They physically cannot envision that actually working out to get them to these amounts. Now, then they also might have in their mind this subconscious belief that comes in about, I don't need that amount of money. And it's this subconscious belief, I don't need $1 million. But what if you had that $1 million and you were able to then go off and now help create some type of nonprofit? You could now donate to your favorite causes. You could help that family that needs it. You could volunteer. And so looking at it in a different way, I believe is that internal law of polarity as well.
yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think it's especially when it comes to money, taught not to be selfish. That's greed. In my coaching business, I tell people get selfish. Selfish. That's why we're in these situations. That's why you're
Hmm.
in the relationships because you don't have a relationship, even with money. But I love the saying of that you selfish to become selfless.
Mm.
Become selfish of I want this. Think of the luxury. Why don't you deserve luxury? Why don't you think you're the why don't you think your value is to luxury? Think about how much you could help other people. Okay, great. So you don't want $1 million, but you're stopping that $100 from coming to you. Money is energy, money is a flow. Go for that $1 million because you only want 100,000 of it. Now what can you do with that? But if you
Mhm.
aren't selfish of declaring and claiming, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that $1 million. I'll use what I need. And it's the same thing of, a lot of people will say in the spiritual world, take and throw out the rest. Same with money, but why limit yourself? Why put that limitation on yourself? Because something more amazing could happen. And then you are really helping someone else. So become greedy. Become that I'm going to do it because the more you greedy within yourself, I'm not saying go be nasty or a hoarder, but the more you become selfish and greedy within your own wants and needs, you're going to be able to help people if you're always coming from the place of the heart.
Mhm. Completely agree. Who we are now is who we are with money. It just amplifies who we already are. If you're already not a nice person or kind-hearted or think about others, you're just not going to think about others when you have the $1 million versus
Right?
if you have $10,000. It's the same person.
Yeah. Money doesn't change you unless you were already that way. This was a conscious change. I grew up with money. My family are nasty, evil hearted people. I always blamed the money.
Mm,
I blamed money for who they are. But the reality is, there isn't. I had to flip that because I think so many in that mindset of that money is evil. It's not the money
mm,
it's the people that are evil, and money is not going to change them. It's just like people, I'll be happy when I get this money, or I'll be happy when this happens. You're already like, why are you putting that limitation? But it's the same thing with the evil aspect. You already be that way for the money to continue to be that way, if
mhm.
that makes sense.
Exactly. So I came from the opposite. What's funny, we're polarities in that way. We all have dark and light within us. Depends
Mhm.
on where we focus our light. Unlike you, I grew up with limited resources, financial resources, and the people that we did meet were not always putting people first, weren't very loving. I've had to work on subconscious beliefs. First, I had to even understand them. So I want to dig into what is your thought, your beliefs around looking at, because I know in the spiritual world, we have two beliefs. Oh, just think the whole positive. But do we actually need to identify limiting beliefs to be able to heal them? Or do you think that we can just heal them?
So I am a different coach. I am a different spiritual person. I believe to acknowledge them, but we don't have to heal them. You need to love who you are right now. But the reality is, your limiting beliefs also got you to be who you are now.
Mhm,
If you change, it doesn't matter if we go back into the past. You can't change any of that. The past is the past. Leave the past in the past. You have to become an observer and realize, okay, I have these beliefs, but now that vision, I want XYZ. You have to acknowledge those limitations and now move forward. How do we move that dial
mm,
to the positive aspect? That you should be loving who you are right now, realizing you are perfect as you are. We want to be better people. We want to improve our lives. But how does to the past improve your present? That just
mm,
keeps you stuck, it keeps you coming up, like it's a saying of, you want to open up a can of worms, you're going to
mm,
get yourself so many more things. Stop it, people. Let's take who we are, acknowledge where we put limits ourselves, acknowledge why we put these limits on ourselves. Is it because we truly have that? Is that truly a moral? Is that truly a value of ours? Because we have to define who we are at this moment. That's one of the first questions I ask people is, who are you? No one can answer that question. Everyone can give me a list of things
mm,
that you can tell me, oh, I'm a mother, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that. I'm okay, okay, great. Who are you? What
mm,
are your beliefs? What are your morals? What are your values? What is your truth? Are you a mere childhood? Are your beliefs and morals the same as your parents? Or they resonate with you? Why, if they don't resonate, why are you keeping them? And so we have to, and that's how we forward. But yeah, I'm not a going back into the past and going to heal that, because if you went back and healed all that, you wouldn't be the person you are today.
mhm. That's a really good perspective. I heard something this last week on Michael Kahn on on Instagram where he's talking actually about that, about going back and that you're constantly looking back. If you're constantly working on healing everything, that at some point, yes, you have to heal certain things, but that you're always looking back and not
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
There's this balance he was talking about. How do you move forward without looking back? Your perspective is very similar to that.
Yeah. You take right now, you look at your very present moment. What is it
Mm,
I don't like? Do you not like your financial situation? Do you not like the relationships that you're in? How can I have better relationships, better finances? How can I going forward? Going back into that past is, yeah, you're just constantly looking backwards and you wonder, running into bumps in the roads. Well, you're not paying attention to where you're going. You're always looking back. And I also feel with learning of using words to our
mm,
benefit and having them serve. If you were always telling yourself that you are healing, you will always have some heal from.
mm.
If you're always telling yourself that you're broken, you will always be broke, because that's what our subconscious mind is listening to. And it's going to, like, when people understand the hemispheres of the brain, our left is logical, always looking for solutions. But if your focus is on the problem, what do you think you're going to get more of? Where our right side is, it's our faith, it's our belief, it's unrational. There's no logic to it. But if you start building that vision going to do it, then your left and your right brain actually start, because you're giving your left side of the brain automatically wants to find a solution.
Mm.
You don't have faith and belief in yourself. You don't have faith and belief that you can get over whatever it is you're going through. And so until you start, your left brain cannot search for a solution.
Oh, I
You're the miracle you're waiting for. Everyone's waiting for this miracle to come and someone to come. You are it. You just got to change the way that you're thinking. You got to flip the switch.
you are the miracle.
Yeah. You are the miracle you're waiting for.
I love that thought process. What's your perspective then? I know you really help people with the relationship with their self. Do
Yes.
you see money or wealth or abundance as another relationship? Like money is energy. Um, do you see we have a relationship with money? Or
Oh yeah, 100%. That your relationship with yourself
mhm,
100% contributes to the relationship that you have with money. And I tell people all the time, it's like money being an energy. If you don't love yourself, why are you in a relationship with another person when you are in someone to do something for you that you won't even do for yourself?
mm,
A lot of problems come, but that's where money is too. Why would money come to you? Because money has to feel stable. Money has to flow. It's an energy. It's coming. And so if you aren't stable, if you aren't feeling safe, why would money come to you?
mm.
Why would it flow? Fixing your inner relationship, not the external, fixing the relationship, that is where then the abundance is going to come. The everything that you want, every one of manifest wealth, prosperity, health, by tapping into who you are as a person, defining and becoming stable on your own 2 feet. That's the only way that you're actually going to get what it is that you want.
I couldn't have said that better. Who do you serve?
I serve individuals recovering from unhealthy relationships, stuck in negative self talk, grappling with self esteem issues, and feelings of unworthiness. People who want a renewed sense of self confidence and emotional resilience without being overwhelmed by past experiences.
Mm,
Because I don't believe we have to. When I work with people or session together, that's the only time we actually really indulge into the past. And guess what? We indulge in it for 10 minutes.
mm.
There is a limitation. Like I do have a process because I bring so many, not just the mental health aspect into my business, but I do believe in the whole spiritual. And so I bring numerology. So there's certain things of using the tarot and using the number, how and why. I have a process where it's a 2 and an 8 minute process. 2 because it's the duration, it's community. 8 is the infinity, it's the loop. And then when you add 2 8 is 10, which is 1, which makes it so the magic happens. It's we have to identify, we have a loop, an internal loop. There is something that is you stuck, whether you are consciously starting to become aware of it, but your subconscious mind is completely aware of it. And we have to identify that to be able to move forward.
So that process helps identify the loop.
It identifies the loop.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we
And
don't
that
have to go. I don't need to know what happened to you when you were 2, 5, and that none of that matters. There is a process within your brain that
mhm.
have to tap into that and find out exactly what that specific loop keeps all of this coming. When tell me, I can identify every single loophole and I can identify and my business also, it's the fact that I use the chakras in NLP. The chakras that people aren't listening, which I mean, I would hope they're the 7 main wheel centers of our lives. We have limiting beliefs. In my process, I can now apply every single limiting belief that you have within every single chakra,
Mm.
just within that period of time. Now, are certain things maybe going to come up a little bit more? Yeah, they will, because of the fact that it needs to be flipped. That's where the NLP comes. You aren't leaving crying your eyes out, feeling worse than you came in, like you do with therapy and counseling. And you're not going to be beating yourself. You're going to feel empowered. I'm going to empower you to step forward into who you are, rebuilding that foundation. I realized I didn't know who I was. I had no definition of who is Megan Marie. Am I?
Mm.
And I realized with all of my certifications that I have, it was my chakras, and I needed to flip my script. And that was really the basics of it. And I had to really do who I was and then use it's like the Kundalini energy, raising that up. So we start with the root so we can rise up, crown on our head, and start the abundance coming in.
I love that. There's so much in our root and sacral chakras.
So much people don't
Oh,
realize.
I think I've seen a map of the chakra system with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You
So I use that actually in my,
Mhm,
so there's 2 forms of it. So it's the Map of Consciousness by David
mhm,
Hawkins
mhm,
and the emotional scale. It breaks down fears and emotions. What words or feelings could you do? And with David Hawkins, he actually breaks it down by telling you like the number. Like you are so low. If you are
mhm,
in, I think one it's at 5, 25 out of 1,000.
mhm.
You got work to do on that route. Humans complicate things. Societal life made everything complicated. And the reality is it does. And that's really of one of my philosophies also. It's called Kiss Keep It Simple, Stupid. So the fact that we don't have to do all this dwelling. We acknowledge and then get over it. Why are we holding on to things? Because yeah, it's storing there, it's staying there, and we've got to process it out, take a sledgehammer and move on.
I love Dr. David Hawkins' work when you say that the whole guilt and shame is 20 and 30. And at what range 400 is when you start impacting others or stepping more into who you are. When we are stuck at that 20 and 30, we really have to figure out, because not only for ourselves, as with your children, it reflects out to the whole world, your communities, the global world. There's a percentage that he talks about. Once at 400,
One person's positivity can affect 100,000 people. One person's negativity can affect a million.
mm,
Negativity flows more than positivity. So
mhm,
we wonder why we need people to step up. Nine people, it takes nine people positivity to kill off one person of negative.
mhm,
It's sad, but that idea that we live in, and love that you brought up the 400 count, because a lot of people accept it still in the negative, but a lot of people don't realize,
mm,
because of the fact that when you're saying you're worth what you had, to get to that love point,
mm,
you got to go further. We don't even accept. It is what it is a great statement, but now how do we move past that and how do we move forward?
mhm. Yes. Yes. How do we move forward? I really love your perspective on moving forward. Let's move forward. We know there's some stuff there, but let's clear it out and move forward. I love the combination of the chakras, the energy, the sound, the NLP with the law of consciousness. I'm a big fan of David Hawkins.
I am
Um,
too.
it's
He really got
really,
me into the map of consciousness, and that was really where that's how I saw polarity.
mhm,
Was listening to a lot of his, because he talks a lot about the law of polarity. So that video influenced a lot of my work of realizing and becoming consciously aware. Okay, I can accept that I'm here, but this isn't where I want to be. Listening to my gut, if I wanted more, I had to flip that. Let's move forward. I'm ready.
mhm. Yes. I am committed. I am committed for it now is one of my favorite sayings. So that I'm moving forward. You mentioned being happy in your current situation, accepting that happiness into us is part of moving through that whole the law of consciousness.
But self-love. If you aren't happy now, you don't love what you've done in this journey, making peace. And this is where the necessarily the peace of mind also is in. I went through a terrific childhood. No one should go through what I went through as a child. No one should go through what I went through as an adult. But the reality was is that I had to realize that I was a reflection of my childhood, and I hated it. But I had to love what happened to me because I love who I am today. I can't change it. I can't wish it away. I can't hope that it went away, because then me telling my soul that I don't want parts and pieces of me. That's not
Mhm,
provide a stable place for your soul to grow. So we have to come to term. It's not that it's the complete acceptance. And this is where acceptance is. I accept it happened. I learned so much about who I am, what I deserve, what I want, and now I can help other people do the same.
mhm.
But if I didn't go through all of that, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Exactly. I think that's a really powerful takeaway because, like yourself, I've had a dysfunction in my early adulthood, and I am grateful for it because it really did show me who I am, the resilience. I knew I was meant for more and kept pushing me forward. I'm extremely grateful for that experience. having my beautiful son and finding gratitude for it and forgiveness. I don't necessarily forgive every little thing that happened, but I also don't dwell on it. I've just let it go. I've accepted and forgive that they did the best they could at the time. I know we hear that being overused, but I have a thing for Forgiveness Friday, forgiving ourselves. The only person I could actually have controlled was myself.
Right.
And so I worked on forgiving of myself in that relationship and other circumstances where self-worth or the lack of self-worth at that moment in time was really showing up to get to peace myself. So I'm excited we had this conversation to give our Light Up Your Worth listeners an opportunity to understand the law of polarities, the power of having a dream and vision and discovering who we are versus the title we might have assumed through society, communities, or families. So powerful. Megan Marie, how can people reach you?
Just message the podcast, Light Up Your Worth, if you're ready, because it's the one that needs to bring forth what you want in the external world. Your external world is a reflection of how you feel internally. Until you realize your own self-worth, self-confidence, and learn how to empower the change isn't going to happen. And that was the biggest thing that I had to learn. I was waiting for someone to save me. Guess what? No one. I had to put on my big girl panties and be like, what am I going to do? Yeah, it was tough, but that's what's beautiful about people like Debbie and I is we've been through there. And I found the cheat sheets that you don't have to go through everything that we went through. You don't have to get the 30 certifications. I'm going to teach you because I don't want you to have to need me. I don't want you to be codependent on me. I don't want you to have to rely on someone else to have the life that I'm going to teach you.
Thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.